Okay, I think we will go ahead and get started. We only have one person here with us tonight who's on the phone, so this might be a little challenging since you obviously can't see what I'm presenting, but I am going to archive it anyway because I was giving the students the opportunity to get some extra credit points. So if you are on tonight, you will receive 25 extra credit points, and if you come back later and listen to the archived session and write up a small paper and turn that in by Monday, you'll get 10 points. So just trying to help out the students as best I can to get some extra credit points. So hopefully that will help you all. But I just wanted to first introduce myself since it's the first time that we have spoken over the phone or through the computer. I am Laura Zottola. I am the professor for this course, and I'm very excited to be teaching it. I think it's an interesting course, and it talks about a lot of leadership skills and tips and tricks and things that you'll need moving forward, hopefully, in your career, and will help you to succeed in your career as well as your personal and professional life. I don't know if you want to take a minute and tell me a little bit about yourself, and again, let me know how you're doing in the course so far. If you have any specific questions, you could ask them now, but I would like to present a little bit first, and maybe that'll have even answered your questions before moving further. So I know, Lee, you're here, so if you want to go ahead and just take a few minutes and tell me a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Lee Berry. I work full-time. I go to school full-time. I'm in my senior year. In fact, my last two courses at RMU for Health Service Administration Management. This course has been helpful because I just read an article in today's Business Times about 6 ways of leadership. I believe I tried to email it to you. I wasn't sure if you got it. But working for a company, leadership is really important, especially for a nonprofit company. I do have a 10-year-old daughter and a dog. But I can't wait. I've learned a lot. I just got the book, like I said, a half hour ago, around 5:30. And transformational leadership is where I left off at. But I can't wait. This will definitely help me in the healthcare management field that I'm going into.
Great. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. And again, it's nice to talk to you on the phone. Again, this might be a little challenging because I do have some PowerPoint presentation notes that I want to go through. But since you have the book, it does follow along really well as the book goes along. So hopefully you can just to keep up. If you have questions throughout, since you are on the phone, just go ahead and try to stop me, and I'll answer any questions that you have. I wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of the office hours that I'm holding. This is just a laid-back, really informal atmosphere where, again, we can just talk, because I know sometimes the online format can be challenging for some people, and they would rather, know a day and a time where they can actually meet with the professor, with their classmates, and just talk about the assignments for the week. It's also to provide, a resource for you to ask any questions, again, to talk with myself as well as any classmates. We'll review the week's assignments and things like that. If you have a syllabus in front of you, I did want to kind of go over a few of the main points and a few of the main course components for this course. Obviously, we have our threaded discussions, which you guys have been turning in and doing well on, and those are pretty much due every week. We also have reflections. Those will be coming up in weeks 4 and 8. We have the short written assignments, which we've already started as well. We have a few comprehension quizzes, and again, one is due, and we have a midterm and a final. So those are the major components of the syllabus, and if you look through the syllabus, I do have a grading rubric for all of those, as well as the total points that they're all worth, a grading scale, and I even try to break it down week by week for you. Again, some people like to learn different ways. They like to see it on a schedule, or you can create your own, whatever works best for you. I just encourage you to cross things off as you're going along and just really try to keep up with it, because especially in this online format, you can get behind very quickly. And it is an 8-week course. We're already in week 2, and so it goes very fast. So those are just some tips I have about the syllabus. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can call me, email me, or come to these office hours, whatever works best for you. What I want to do again is kind of go through the assignments for week 2, since that's where we're at right now. So again, if you are on the computer, if you come back and listen to this, I do have an agenda that I have up on the screen. The readings for this week were in your textbook, Manning and Curtis, chapters 2 and 3. Your assignments were the threaded discussion 2 on bad styles of leadership, your written assignment 2 on leadership qualities, and then your first comprehension quiz, which were chapters 1, 2, and 3. So those are kind of the things I wanted to go over tonight. In your book, starting with chapter 2, it's called The Leadership Equation, and it talks about early studies of leadership, and they base these on 2 main theories. So again, if you're following along in the book, they talked about the trait theory and the behavior theory. So these are two key terms that you probably want to focus on. The trait theory focused on the qualities of the leader, and the behavior theory focused on leadership actions. The leadership trait theory. The textbook lists a few important leadership traits. They talked about basic intelligence, clear and strong values, and the high level of personal energy. And again, some of your assignments talk about different theories of leadership and different traits that you might be personally interested in. So these are just some of the few of the ones that the book talked about. They also talked about a gentleman named Edwin DeSelli. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this man identified 6 traits that he thought were important for effective leadership. And the book, again, went into greater detail about these. But just to list them, the 6 that he talked about were the need for achievement, intelligence, decisiveness, self-confidence, initiative, and supervisor ability. So those were the 6 that he thought were important for effective leadership. The leadership behavior theory, again, a man named Kurt Lewin, he talked about 3 different styles of leadership. And again, this has to do a lot with your written assignments and your threads. So these, again, are some key theories to know about. The autocratic, which is the tight control of group activities and decisions made by the leader. The democratic, the group participation and majority rule, which I think most of us are familiar with. And then the laissez-faire behavior theory, which is a very low levels of any kind of activity by the leader. So those are the 3 main styles that you'll want to make note of. There's also another leadership behavior that they discussed, and it was the Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire. And they've had 2 dimensions of that, initiating structure and showing consideration. Okay. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast, but again, I'm just trying to give some basic tips about each chapter so you kind of know what to focus more on and what to take note on. So again, moving on, we talked about the managerial or the leadership grid, and it identified 5 major styles of leadership. They talked about the impoverished manager, the sweatshop manager, the country club manager, the status quo manager, and the fully functioning manager. And I have a note here to look on page 21, and that gives you a figure. And so you'll see that managerial grid for leadership effectiveness on page 21 in your book. And again, it goes into a little bit greater detail. So you can read about that in more detail in your book. Are there any questions? Let me stop real quick and see if you want to chime in at all, Lee.
Now, with this, because this is where I stopped because I tried to read as fast as I could, with the managerial leadership grid, the 1 to 9, that's the extremes, right? Where it says concern for people, the 1 being the lowest, and the 9. So each of the corners, that's the extreme of each of them. And then the status quo manager is just dead right in the middle of everything. I'm not too good at talking because I'm a little nervous because I don't read that fast. But it seems like with the concern for production, the 1 is on the left, the 9 is on the right. So the lowest to the highest would be the 9. The sweatshop manager cares more about production and less about people. Am I reading this correctly?
Yes, you are reading it correctly. Yes, again, what she's talking about is on page 21. It's the managerial grid for leadership effectiveness. That's correct. So again, the outside arrows go from like a 1 to 9 scale, 1 being the lowest, 9 being the highest, and you're correct. So if you look at, the impoverished manager, again, for example, They're both low. They're all number ones for both. Low concern for people, low concern for production. So, yes, you did describe that well.
Okay. That's all the questions I had so far.
Okay, that's good. I really highly recommend questions in this type of environment. I don't like to hear myself talk as much, so great. Thank you for that question. Okay, so we'll go on to the leadership contingency theory. They talked about, again, the definition of contingency theory, which is the most appropriate leadership qualities and actions. They vary from situation to situation. They say that no single element explains why leadership takes place. It results when the ideas and the deeds of the leader match the needs and the expectations of the followers in a particular situation. So just some key points about this contingency theory. Transformational leadership, a big topic that they talked about a lot is charisma. You'll want to know the definition of charisma. You'll want to know a little bit about it. I know there's questions about that on the quiz. Charisma, they said, is a certain quality that causes one to be set apart from the ordinary people and to be treated as endowed with superhuman or at least exceptional powers or qualities. So again, if you're looking at the computer, I do have these, down for you so you don't have to be writing, very quickly. You can come back and listen to the archive and actually see the slides. So again, charisma, I know that's in the quiz, and you'll want to know a little bit about that. Transformational leadership, qualities such as optimism, charisma, intelligence, all of these focuses on exchanges between leaders and followers. That basically summed up Chapter 2, again, just touching on the very, very key points. So when you read the book, it will go into more detail about each of the things that I touched on. So we'll move on to Chapter 3, which is leadership qualities, the characteristics of followers, and situational factors. The first thing they talked about were the 10 qualities that distinguish a leader. I know this is part of one of your assignments. They stated the 10 qualities, and they went into detail about each one of them. So I encourage you to, again, read over each one of them before you do your assignment. But again, the 10 qualities are vision, ability, enthusiasm, stability, concern for others, self-confidence, persistence, vitality, charisma, and integrity. So those were the 10 qualities that distinguish a leader. On page 33, they have an exercise. This chapter is full of exercises, which I highly recommend you actually do and don't just kind of breeze through. If you want to get a lot and the most out of this textbook and this course, a lot of these will kind of help you figure out what type of leader you are, what kind of qualities and traits that you have, and which ones that you may be lacking in that you need to work on. So on page 33, exercise 3.1 talks about 10 leadership qualities and how do you rate. So again, I encourage you to go through. They have the 10 qualities listed, and then you rate yourself and give yourself a score. And then if you turn the page, they again talk about what all that means and so forth. So again, one of these exercises can be really helpful if you're trying to figure out the qualities that you encompass. They also talked about characteristics of followers. I know there's a question about followers on the quiz as well, so you'll want to focus on this segment of the chapter. A follower, they defined as somebody to help, serve, and assist, and they talked about 2 characteristics of followers. One is the respect for authority, and the other being interpersonal trust. And again, going into more detail in the textbook about that. They talk about the importance of trust as well, and the 6 principles of trust for leadership effectiveness. These are dealing openly with everyone, considering all points of view, keep promises, give responsibility, listen to understand, and care about people. And then they also talked about on the next page, 37, it's exercise 3.2, which is an interpersonal trust scale. I thought this was a very interesting exercise. So again, I strongly encourage you to do this to the best of your ability, to answer the question, and then again, score yourself. And then they actually have a trust scale. They talk about how you scored and how you score against others and what those scores mean, and it's actually very interesting. So you'll want to go ahead and take some time to do that. The next page talks about situational factors, and a few important factors that they noted were the size of the organization, the social and psychological climate, the patterns of employment, the type, place, and purpose of work. There's also different kinds of intelligence. They talked about the crystallized intelligence, which is one's lifetime of intellectual attainment, shown by vocabulary, accumulated facts about the world, and the ability to solve problems within one's area of expertise. And also a fluid intelligence, involving mental flexibility, as shown by the ability to process information rapidly, and then solving problems in new areas of endeavor. So again, two different kinds of intelligence that the book stated, and going along with that was an exercise as well on page 43, an indicator of multiple intelligences. So again, rating yourself and then, looking at the scoring and seeing where you add up. Okay, styles of learning. Exercise 3.4 is on page 51, and it's designed to evaluate your preferred style of leading. Is it directive, is it participative, or is it free reign? And I thought this, again, is a really good exercise. What is your leadership style? A lot of us are becoming leaders in our career. As I read through your autobiographies, you are managers or CEOs or whatnot, and you are a leader. So knowing what your leadership style is very important. So this exercise is very, very important for you. Figure 3.3 talks about the emphasis and the use of power, and it shows the different emphases and the use of power for the three leadership styles. Okay, then we talk about the leadership effectiveness today. It said that leadership is more art than science, and it's more skill than knowledge. And the effective leader today must be a director and motivator, an implementer and innovator, mentor and team builder, expert and moral force, organizer and developer of people. So all of these things that they talked about can help be an effective leader. They also give you at the end, on page 56, a really good summary of part 1. So it's basically chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I encourage you, before you take the quiz, to go through this summary. It really does touch on all of the major points and helps you really prepare for the upcoming quiz. So this was a very, very quick overview of the chapters 2 and 3. So hopefully, as you are listening to this or watching this, you can take some notes on what key areas and what were the main points that we discussed. And so that was my overview of the chapters. Now I want to kind of get into, first let me ask if there's any questions, and then I want to get into the assignments for the week. So I will stop talking and see, Lee, if you have any questions.
No, actually, I don't. The only thing I thought was interesting is where it says charismatic. They mentioned in the one part about Hitler being a transformational, was it? Where is it? They spoke about Hitler in a leadership role. But to me, wouldn't some leaders be more charismatic? Because he told everybody what they wanted to hear. Why wouldn't that be more of a charismatic leader? Oh, come on.
I mean, that's a good question. Again, charisma, they said, is a person who has certain personalities. And the example that they gave a lot was Martin Luther King, who, of course, I think we all assume has charisma. But, I mean, Hitler, I guess, he had some because he did influence a lot of people, just, I would say, in a different way, in charisma, maybe in more of a negative way. But I do think he had some because he was a leader and people did follow him for good or bad. So that's a good point to make. Was it, for positive or for negative?
Yeah, because he said he had many personal weaknesses, but as one who sensed the character and direction of a group, that's when he embodied all his power, because it was like he knew what to say, he knew how to get people roused up. Nelson Mandela did it in a positive way. He's the one extreme, and then Hitler's the exact opposite extreme. So it's like I'm trying, I know that's the past. So in the present, our president now, would you consider him a charismatic leader because of, he does have the charisma? Or, like I said, I just barely went over this, so if I seem out of sorts, please forgive me.
No, I think those are good points to make. I mean, I don't think it can be cut or dry if a person is charismatic or not. I think it's almost as the followers assume. A person is charismatic if, they hold those certain traits. So whether they're charismatic but it's in a negative light or positive, I think it can be both. I wish you had a classmate here to kind of discuss this with you. But I think that's an important point to make, and maybe you can state that in some of your threads or some of your written assignments.
Okay. I feel bad because I'm the only person here.
You're right, and it makes it hard to have, these conversations, but I still think they're valid points to bring up, and you're so much better for being here, hopefully, by getting some of your questions answered. And if others listen to it and they have questions, and they can always join in through emails or come next week and we can discuss it a little bit more.
I can see if you didn't answer your emails efficiently, or every time I sent you an email, I always got a reply back.
Right, I do try to reply as soon as possible. Again, with this type of environment, if you don't email or keep in touch somehow, it's very hard, very easy to get behind, and it makes it more difficult. So the better and more you keep in contact, the easier I think the course will go for you.
Well, do you Skype? Because our one instructor, our dean, Joe Angelelli, Dr. Angelelli, he Skyped so that we can join in, and I audited a class, not audited, but joined in on his class. Do you think if people have problems with WIMBA that we could Skype? Because you said you have PowerPoint, and I already believe me, I printed up almost everything that you allowed us to print, because you have the PowerPoint slides for week 2 and 3.
Well, I can definitely see if that would work better for more of you, and maybe we could either Skype or do something again that works better for more people if I keep getting low attendance. But I can definitely look into that for you.
Okay, and that's all the questions I have. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's great. I appreciate it. I just wanted to, again, briefly state what some of the assignments are, see if you have any questions about them, see how you're doing with the assignments. So the first one for week 2 is your thread of discussion 2, which is bad styles of leading. Basically to state what you think are the 3 qualities or behaviors of a bad style of leading others and why you believe this to be the case. I know that this was already due, your first initial post. It was due Tuesday by midnight. Your replies and such not are due tonight by midnight. And then your final posts are due Friday by midnight. So, again, this should be underway. You should have already posted and replied to a few people. Do you have any questions about the threads or the grading system or anything that's going on pertaining to the thread of discussion?
Professor, the one thing I can honestly say about you, hopefully we'll evaluate you at the end, because this is not my first online course. I've been taking all online. That's all our major is. You spelled out everything. I call it the blonde way, because if you have any questions, you already answered them. All you do is...
That's great. I appreciate it. And again, I do my best to make it as simple as possible, to send reminders, to answer emails as quickly as I can to get those points. So great. I appreciate it. And again, I'm assuming no questions about the threads then, since you seem to be an expert in online.
Believe me, when you take Survey of Economics online, you should become a pro. I took it not once, but twice. So
okay, good. Okay, great. Well then, again, I hope many of your classmates are feeling as comfortable as you are with the threads. And again, I think those are some easier points to receive throughout the course. So replying and responding on time is just key, just meeting the deadlines and just participating as often as possible.
Well, if you look on the discussions, because I like to be devil's advocate because of, it shows me that people are actually reading my post instead of just, okay, I read it, goodbye. And I put one bad style is withholding information. And I got 2 replies on it. And it was kind of interesting because the 2 people said, I think sometimes withholding information should be okay, depending on the situation. And we just went over the situation of being a leader, one of the factors. I take a lot of notes. So it was kind of neat to get that response of, okay, they saw withholding information and 2 people responded to it.
Oh, that's great. It means they're actually like you said, reading what you're saying and incorporating the textbook and the materials into the course, which again I think is what's supposed to happen through these threads. They're supposed to be discussions, and you can ask questions, and other students can answer them. And they're not just statements or personal thoughts. So I think you're doing the right thing with these discussions.
Better watch out. I know how to do this. Believe me, in some of the managerial classes and all that, you're doing a great job. So what? Nobody chimed in. You had 1 student. If I would have known how to do this WIMBA, believe me, you would be getting, but I do try to keep up to date with the emails.
Good, great. Well, I appreciate the feedback. All right, so let's move on to our written assignment 2, which is leadership qualities. And it states that on pages 30, 31, and 32 of your text, they listed, as we discussed, the 10 leadership qualities. And I asked you to read each of these in detail, pick 3 that you feel that you should incorporate into your leadership style if you are to be a successful leader. They should be 3 that you feel you need to work on the most in order for you to become a better leader. And then state why you chose each of those 3. This is due Friday by midnight, which is tomorrow. And again, many of you have turned that in already, but if not, I just wanted to see if you had any questions about it, or again, any questions on the grading of these written assignments. I haven't dug deep into the grading yet. I've written what's been turned in, but with so many students, I've had some issues of people, having some personal problems getting them turned in. So in all fairness, I wanted to wait till I did receive everybody before I really started grading them, but I have read all of them. Seems you're all on the right page. I just wanted to see if you had any questions.
No, I don't. You'll get mine tomorrow. And I still owe you one.
That's great, no problem. Okay, and then the comprehension quiz. Have you taken that one yet?
Please say someone else.
Oh, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear your reply. Did you say you have taken the quiz yet or not?
Oh, I have. I just got the.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Okay. So I do have some topics about the quiz 1. I went through all the questions and wanted to give you again some of the key things that are on the test. So some of the things you'll want to know the definition of leadership, know about caring leadership, know about the 3 basic types of leaders, know about the qualities of good leaders, and the characteristics of followers. Those are, again, some of the major topics in the quiz. It is open book, open note, so I'm hoping that you guys won't have a problem. I have seen some grades coming through as people have been taking them, and the quiz is worth 20 points, and I have been getting 19, 17, 18, even 20 out of 20. So to me, again, that means that you're understanding the material and you're doing well on the quiz. So that's a positive. A few reminders about the quiz. Each quiz is worth 20 points. It is timed. So when you log on, you will have an hour to complete each quiz. Again, they're open book, open notes. As soon as you click submit on your quiz, you will see your results. You do have the option of saving the quiz and coming back later. You will still only have the 60 minutes though. So if you click save at 30 minutes and you come back, you'll have 30 minutes to complete. It doesn't restart. So if, I know things happen when you're taking the quiz and phone rings or a child wakes up or whatnot, you can click save, but make sure to click save or the timer will keep running. Each quiz will slightly vary a little, or will vary slightly a little bit as opposed to what the questions are, but mainly they'll consist of multiple choice and true false. I know the first quiz, it had 15 multiple choice questions and 5 true false questions. So those are just a few of the pointers and reminders about the quiz. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay, easy enough. That was basically what I wanted to cover for this week. I do want to talk about what's coming up for next week. If you look at your syllabus, your readings are the same book, Manning and Curtis, chapters 4 and 5. You will have a threaded discussion 3 called Effective Vision due, as well as your next comprehension quiz, which will encompass chapters 4 and 5. So that's due next week. Again, you personally are doing great, but speaking to the whole class, just a few things to keep in mind are the deadlines for things. I don't like to dock points just because something's late. If you can do your best to get it into me on time to get full credit, that's great. If you have an issue where you are going to be late, I feel like I'm pretty approachable. Just shoot me an email, call me, whatever you need to do to let me know your situation and we can work something out. But again, to get full credit, all of the rubrics are in the syllabus and all of the deadlines are there and things are spelled out pretty clearly, I believe. So hopefully you're doing well so far in the course. And again, I will open it up for any questions if you have any at this time.
No, I don't. Now that I have the book, the deadlines will be not a problem. Not only do I have one book, I have 2.
Okay, that is great. And again, for you personally, I suggest, before the next session, next Thursday, try to talk to the RMU help desk, see if they can get you set up on WIMBA.
Okay.
If not, let me know how it's going, and maybe we could try to meet a different way.
Well, the thing is, I'll call them right after I get off the phone with you.
Okay, that's no problem. So again, if there's no questions, I guess we're finished for the evening. And for next Thursday, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me. And if not, we'll meet in the classroom again next Thursday.
Okay, did you get that article I sent you?
I'm not sure when you sent it. I checked my email about an hour or so ago, and I didn't have anything.
Because I sent it to Zottola at mail.rmu, and I sent it.
It's my last name is Zottola at rmu.edu.
Okay, I'll try that because when I send stuff from work, it's at adagiohealth.org. And when I saw that, it completely clicked that, we're going over these now, and it's 6 ways, I think it's 6 ways to show employee appreciation.
Okay,
and this
that
is
would be great. That would be great. I always encourage outside information. Maybe I can incorporate that into the class, if not this one, the next one. So I appreciate the outside information.
Well, you have a good night, Professor, and I'm sorry I'm the only one here, but hey.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It was wonderful talking to you, and let's keep in touch, and good luck with the rest of the class.
Have a good evening, Professor.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, I'm in